Okay, so welcome to American College in Norway. We have been around since 1992. We've been working with U.S. universities since 1992, so it's 28 years of international exchange between Norway and the United States. And we are very excited to have many of you join us tonight. Some of you are in the United States, some of you are in Norway, some of you, I don't know where you are, but this is one of the great things about technology is that we're able to have an event like this and we're able to connect with people from around the world. So our specialty is international education. And as you can see from some of the pictures at the top screen, we have a very fun campus life, and I'm going to speak more to that later on. But just to give you a little bit of background, the top picture you'll see, that is from one of the travel courses that we run yearly to Svalbard, which is Norway's northernmost territory. And I believe it's in the works to run it for spring of 2022. Now, the yellow building, you'll see that's the campus where American College Norway is located. And that is a historical building in Moss. It's called Conventions Garden. And the picture just below it, that is actually ACN's executive director, Krista Artson, who you'll hear from very shortly. And she's giving a tour of the room and a talk to some of our summer school students about the history behind it. So you might be even sitting in that room having a tour from Krista as well. And then just to the left, you'll see that is where the fjord is, the Oslo Fjord. So we're located just on the water. So for Americans that are watching, this indeed is a fjord. I know that fjords, in your mind, you may be thinking fjords, you know, with the deep, you know, the deep mountains and everything like that. Well, we have a fjord too. So now I'm going to go to the next slide, which is going to be our program for the evening. So obviously we got a little delayed with our start, but we're going to have a welcome and introduction to the college that is going to be done by ACN's executive director, Krista Artson. And then you're going to also hear from ACN's student advisor, Ayla Rubenstein, who is the student advisor who's going to be working with you one-on-one to really help you find the right fit for you in the US. And then I'm just going to be the MC, like I said, so you're going to hear from me left and right throughout this program. And then after that, we're going to dive more into the ACN experience. And that is where you're going to hear from one of our current American instructors, Dr. Rebecca Lieber-Godberg. And then you're going to hear more about what life is like at American College Norway. Places students can travel to, things they can do in the area, activities on the college campus to get involved with. You'll hear from me about that. And then we have a current student, Carolina Wilhelmsen, who is going to be speaking about her experience at ACN right now. How's it going? Where she is in her progression of studies, why she came to ACN first. And then you'll be hearing from an American student who spent a semester studying abroad at American College Norway. She's back in the United States, but you'll hear from Kate Lostland. And then last but not least, you're going to hear from a former student who studied at ACN, and then he went to the USA for his bachelor's degree. And now he's back in Norway, and he has a fabulous job, and he's going to tell you about his experience and how ACN helped him get some of these great opportunities in life. And then last but not least, we have a Q&A and closing. So this is really your time to ask away any question you have for the staff, instructors, anyone, any of the past students, current students. So we'll utilize that time just to have open dialogue, conversation. And without further ado, I wanted to pass it on over to ACN's executive director, Krista Artson, who's going to begin the welcome and introduction. Krista, are you there?
How about now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Oh my goodness. The technical difficulties that we're having in the beginning have probably thrown me off just a tad, but I'm so glad that so many of you could join us. I hope that there aren't a lot of people who are stuck, but I completely understand in this day and age and in our situation. Technology is supposed to be our friend, but sometimes it lags a little. But welcome to everybody. I'm
sorry, I just had to admit some people before we get the program started.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think everyone is there. Okay, because when I open up the screen, I don't have the possibility to see anything else.
Yeah, no, that's fine. The more the merrier. But I'm Crystal Artson, and I'm the Executive Director of the American College of Norway. I've been with the college since before it started. I've been in Norway for 20-some years, closing in on 30 years. And I have seen the college evolve, and it's what I love. It's a little piece of America in Norway, which sounds odd, but we have American students who come to us from our partner schools or other schools, and then we have Norwegian students who are here, and all of them have the same goal, to get a study abroad experience in one or the other semesters, and on the way to their degree. So we're really pleased about the opportunity to offer this to students. So who are our students? Who are you, perhaps? Maybe you'll recognize yourself. So I like to talk about the DNA of our students. And our students are interested in the world, obviously. You wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be thinking about it if you weren't interested in the world. Now, while you're at ACN, you'll be talking about the world. You're going to be talking about the differences in classes. And that's one of the things that is extremely important about the American College of Norway, that you might have a class that has the same title as it does in the United States. So, for example, Introduction to Sociology, but there's always a comparative nature to the class. So you're going to bring in different worldviews than if you'd had that class in the United States. And we're really pleased to be able to offer that element. You're open-minded. You're interested in an opportunity that is different than the road that's normally traveled. So our past students also were open-minded. They considered what we were offering here. They thought about where they wanted to go in the United States. So many of them thought they were going to go to California because that's America and it's warm. But when they start looking into what's out there, they find that there's so much else. And so they're zeroing in on what they want to do and where they want to go, but they're doing it with an open mind. So our students are creative. They're thinking about solutions, and they have to. In the classroom, we divide up into groups sometimes, and we ask you to use your creativity. And because we have students from all around the world, they're bringing in different perspectives. Norwegian students are bringing in the perspective of traveling. They've traveled a lot. A lot of the people have done their military service, and that brings in interesting parts of the conversation and adds to the creativity. They're resourceful. You are resourceful, I'm sure of it. And I tell Norwegian students that I think that they could be, head to any university in the United States, kind of be dropped down into campus, and they'd find their way around because they're resourceful. But I'd like to tell you that you don't have to do that if you start at the American College of Norway. We give you tools to help you be even more resourceful. You're going to get help in making some decisions about where you want to study, what you want to study. If you right down to the details of, do you want to rent a car in New York and drive to where you're going to be, or do you want to just get in a plane and be met by someone from the university and brought to your room? Do you want to live on campus? Do you want to live off campus? Are you going to miss leverpostei if you're Norwegian, and liverpate? If you're American coming here, we answer questions about Norway coming here. I had an American student who got off the plane and asked me, do you have brown shoe polish? And I thought, well, okay, I don't know where that's coming from, but yeah, that's a question that someone had, and it's fair. So we try to answer everyone's questions. Even though you're resourceful, we're also very resourceful and want to be able to help you. So we talk a lot about the comfort zone in our lives. And within your comfort zone, you have the support of your family, you have friends that you've known forever, you have teachers around you that work with you. These are all in your current comfort zone. What you know now is your comfort zone. And a lot of times schools or other programs talk about getting you out of your comfort zone. And that's not what we want to do here. We want to expand your comfort zone. And we're going to do that by disturbing what you know, challenging what you know, thinking about what you are currently is in your comfort zone. And we're going to, in the classroom and out of the classroom, I hate to say we're going to stress you out, but we're going to give you a little stress to make that disturbance, because we want your comfort zone to increase. We don't want you to go outside. We want to stay in, and we want to make it bigger, because that's going to help you on your way. So the nitty gritty of what we can offer you. Let's start with the Norwegian students. We can offer you 30 credits from a U.S. university. We have, in the American system, you take 15 credits each semester, so that's 2 semesters. The classes are small, and we try to keep them interactive. And Dr. Lieber-Godberg will talk a little bit about this later. Even in our online classes, we manage to make it interactive. And that's really important to us. It's not just a straight lecture, you listen and the teacher will talk. It's really important for us to have dialogue. And that's possible because our classes are small. If you know where you want to go in the United States, we will help you. We'll work on that. We will give you guidance. If you don't know where you want to go, we'll help you narrow it down. There are things that we can do to help you to think about, large school, large town, small town. So that's where we can give you guidance. So while you're getting those university credits, you're getting an idea of where you want to study in the United States and how to get there. So we also help with applications to the United States, and that is a chore because every university has their own application process and it's not straightforward. So we want to make sure that you have everything in place and you understand what they're asking you to do, because your application is going in among the hundreds or thousands of other applicants from around the world. So we want to make sure that you have a leg up and you know what is expected of you. Our tuition is affordable. Our Norwegian students choose to come to the American College of Norway often because by getting some general classes out of the way, which is what we offer, and we'll talk about that later, you're going to save thousands of kroner rather than go straight to the United States. Our tuition is lower than almost any other university in the United States, barring some community colleges, which we can also talk about later. But our tuition is affordable. And for Norwegian students, they're fully funded by the State Lending Association in Norway called Lånekassen. And we have had Acn students here since 1992, and they've gone all over the United States. You'd be hard pressed to pick a state where we haven't had someone there. And one of the things we can offer you is if you are interested in a university or in a state and you'd like to talk to a former student, we'll put you in touch with that student so you can get some insider information. All of this is trying to make you comfortable so that when you leave and your comfort zone is expanded, you get over to the United States and you're going to be nervous, but it's going to be a good nervous.
First, I'm just going to check and see because I got a notification that there's some people in the queue. So before we progress, I wanted to just
send them in.
Let's see. Okay. I'll get back to this then.
Okay, so for the people who have just joined us, I'm the executive director of the American College of Norway, and we're talking a little bit about what we can offer you as students once you start with us. Now, I don't know if the ones that you that just joined us are from the United States or Norway, but we'll be talking about both options. So that what you see on your screen right now is to your left, you will see our summer school students in front of the Parliament building in Norway. And summer school is a great way to get some credits in. And this year our summer school, we'll talk a little bit about it at the end, but we'll offer 2 classes. So Americans and Norwegians get together and talk about issues that are typically not offered in the fall semester or spring semester. Also, during the time that you're at the American College of Norway, we offer you study abroad options, or I wouldn't call it that. Maybe I should call it a what should I call it? Study break, study tour. So you see on the right-hand side, that was a group that went to London, outside Shakespeare's Theatre there, the Globe. And so those are optional. And we talk about those. We've been to Ireland, we've been to London, we go to Svalbard, as Nick mentioned. So there's some really nice options that for a week we do a little mini course and head out into the world. Now this year it's been a little bit difficult to head out into the world, but we are confident that we're going to be able to do something about that in the coming semesters. All of our classes are taught in English. That's important. And here you see some of the other things that students do. Our classes are set up, so typically you'll be studying in the classroom or be at the school from Monday to Thursday. We have Fridays without classes. The school is open. You can come in and do group work. But a lot of our students use that opportunity to take the time to do some travel. So 3-day weekends are great. We have plenty of breaks for students to travel together, Norwegian students and international students and American students. I guess Americans are international students. I have to think of them in a different category. But travel is so important. And you can see that Nick is on a couple of these, and we have other instructors there. So everybody joins in and tries to get out as much as possible. Okay, so some really nitty-gritty things. And this is a course for the Norwegian students in particular. What you're looking right now is a pie chart of a bachelor's degree. So think of that circle as an American bachelor's degree. Most of your degree will be taking classes within what we call a major, what you have chosen to study, what you will end up with a degree in, and those, of course, are most of your classes. But in America, for other countries as well, there's something called a liberal arts education, which means that no matter what you want to study, you will benefit by having classes from different areas of study as well. It's going to add to your knowledge. It's going to add to your breadth of education. So at the American College of Norway, our classes typically fit into the blue or the yellow categories. Occasionally it would go over to the major field of study, but we are helping you to get these general courses out of the way, if you want to put it that way. Everyone has to have these general classes to get a bachelor's degree. They have to fit in somehow into what you choose to do. So we're going to give you very general classes, and they will all transfer to universities in the United States. We will talk about that while you're with us. But we're really proud to be able to offer you a wide variety of classes. And the other thing about this is that when you start the American College of Norway, maybe you don't exactly know what your major will be. So by working on these general classes, it's going to give you a little bit of an idea of what you like and what you don't like. So very important. But we often get asked, how do the classes at ACN fit into everyone's degree? And now you know, the blue and the yellow are where we are. Occasionally, depending upon the major and the visiting faculty member, we kind of go over to the red, but they all go toward your degree. So let me just give you an idea of some of the classes that we've had in the past. And you see that there's just a wide variety of classes. It's kind of wild because if you wanted to study, for example, engineering, why would you want to take Introduction to Film? Or why do you have to take something like that? Why do you have to take a writing class? It's all so important for you to be able to be, in the broader perspective, we call it a well-rounded person. So everyone that starts at the American College of Norway will be required to take College Composition 1 and or 2. And that's going to help you with your writing skills because there are very specific things that you need to think about with academic writing. So we want to let you know what those are. We work on them in and out and all around in those classes so that when you get to the United States and an instructor tells you that they want a 20-page paper with footnotes and a bibliography with an outline on their desk next week, you will know what that means. You won't be behind. You won't feel uncomfortable. In the academic sense, you will be prepared for what you are meeting in the United States. So generally, we make sure that our classes are as varied as possible. And while you're taking those classes, we make sure that we have someone here who is a specialist in advising. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to our student advisor, Ayla Rubenstein. And she can tell you a little bit about what she does with students and the kind of things that they're asking about and what we can provide for you.
Thank you, Krista. Yes, my name is Ayla, and I am the student advisor at the American College of Norway. I am from Minnesota and went to school at the University of North Dakota, where I met my husband, and we very recently moved to Norway just last summer. So again, I am the student advisor at the American College of Norway, and I am your go-to person for your help with college applications and for any and all questions you may have about just transferring to the US in general. The personal advising offered by ACN is one of the big reasons why so many Norwegian students choose to start their bachelor's degree in Norway here with us. And that is also why we are very unique. And why is this important? Well, there are about 5,000 different colleges and universities in the US that you could apply to. And each of these schools has their own unique admissions requirements and application procedures. That's a lot of universities and a lot of information for you to sift through. So one of the big advantages of having a student advisor is that I am here to help you every step of the way. So we will meet at least once a semester to talk one-on-one about your goals and interests, starting right away within the first weeks of you being on campus. And so in this time, we will find schools that are a great fit for you, academically, personally, and financially. I will also be able to help you with the application process itself, once you figure out which schools interest you most that you want to apply to. And as Krista mentioned earlier, the application process in the US is a little different than the Norwegian system. So they have a few things that are extra that I can help you with. Some examples of some of these things are finding major programs of study that interest you and maybe even some minors. And we can talk more about the difference and the importance of majors and minors when you're on campus. We can talk about finances, getting loans, applying for scholarships, the cost of living, depending on which university you choose, which state you're in, and other things like whether you live on campus or off campus, if you want to buy a car, a lot of factors. We can also look into if you require any tests for your application, such as English language tests or other standardized tests like the ACT or the SAT. And we can talk more about these when you're with us at the college. We can also talk about transcripts and obtaining other evaluations. And so these are all application things. But once those are all done and you decide where you want to go, I will also be able to help you with the visa process to get you safely and soundly over to the United States or wherever you end up. So really, I am here to support you every step of the way, starting the moment you step foot on campus to the day you leave. And you can email me from the States or wherever you end up to, so I am always available. And it is our goal to make this process really just as easy as possible. And we know that finding the right university is so important. We also have 8 partner universities that offer some pretty special benefits for ACN students, such as streamlined application process, reduced tuition, or other benefits. And Nick will go into these a little bit more now.
Thank you, Ayla. Just give me 1 second while I try to reload this. Okay, there we go. Can everyone see this? Could someone just let me know?
Yes.
Give me 1 second. Let me just stop sharing for a second. I think I need to reload the whole document. Okay, there we go. Now can everyone see it?
Well, I can.
No.
It was fine, Nick.
It was fine for you?
Yeah.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, now is everyone able to see the first slide that says University of North Dakota?
Yeah.
I am.
I can.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. Thank you for bearing with us. This is our first time ever doing an online digital fair, so of course there are some technical difficulties, but thank you very much for waiting that out. So, like Ayla said, one of the benefits of coming to American College of Norway is that we do have schools that we work with directly in the United States, and those are called our partner schools. So I'm just going to briefly introduce these schools and where they're from. But one of the great things you need to know about these partner schools is that they offer our students that come to ACN guaranteed admission. And then there are many, many benefits of going to a partner school. For example, the network that's there, because many American students have studied abroad at ACN and they're at those universities, or instructors have taught at ACN and they're back at their home universities. And you'll hear more from other students that can speak to this, but those are some of the benefits. And not to mention, there are some really great scholarship opportunities that can really help make your education in the US affordable, which is obviously one of the many things people talk about within education. And they often think going to the United States is expensive, but like Krista said as well, coming to ACN can definitely be a way to save money. So our first partner school is the University of North Dakota, which is located in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and it is our first partner school. So they started the program up with us, and they're the school of record for ACN. So when you need a transcript, any of that stuff, it is going to be coming from University of North Dakota. So that is who our classes are approved by. So that's why we can say we offer US credits, because they come from University of North Dakota. But the school in itself, it's a large school. As you can see from the pictures, there's a hockey rink, which is one of the best in the nation. It's a really active campus. It has that quintessential American college campus that many Norwegians dream about when they see it in the movies. So UND, we've had many students go there. And let's go to the next one, which is Westchester University, which is in Westchester, Pennsylvania on the East Coast. So Westchester is it's pretty close in proximity to Philadelphia, and the college campus in itself is very quintessential, like you've seen in the movies, as you can see from these pictures. And one fun thing about Westchester is that it really is a college town. So you'll see a picture there that shows the downtown area. So very much like you see in the movies, those college towns where you just walk from your building to the downtown eateries and whatnot. It's a great school to go to if you're really looking for that opportunity. Then we have Delphi University, which is located in Garden City, New York, which is on the island of Long Island. So it is about a 40-minute train ride from New York City, from downtown Manhattan. So this is often a great pick for students that want to be near New York City. Maybe they want to be a theater student and they want to have easy access to Broadway and whatnot, but they want to live just outside of the city. So Delphi is a great college campus, and they offer some fantastic programs for students. Then we have Southern New Hampshire University, which is in New Hampshire, in Manchester, New Hampshire. I'm sure many of you never heard of this before, but Southern New Hampshire is very quintessential East Coast. It has the epic fall foliage that you'll see with the changing of the leaves. So it is a beautiful college campus, and they offer a plethora of opportunities for you within your major, but also for activities. And then we have Springfield College, which is actually our newest partner school, and that is also located on the East Coast in Springfield, Massachusetts. And a fun fact about Springfield College is that it is the birthplace of basketball. And one of the students that's going to speak to you about studying abroad at ACN, she is actually a student at Springfield College. Then we also work with Pace University, which is in Manhattan, New York City. So if you want to be in downtown New York City, we have an option for you. And then Mayville State University, which is in North Dakota, Mayville, North Dakota. And last but not least, we work with Hult International Business School, and they have campuses in Boston, San Francisco, London, Shanghai, and Abu Dhabi. So there are tons of opportunities for you to go to a partner school if you want. And like I said, they guarantee admission and they offer great opportunities for you. But you will hear more information about these schools later on, because one of the benefits of this is that representatives from the school will be coming to the college campus and they'll be speaking to you and they'll be helping you with the application process. So a lot of the connection and network you get by coming to ACN really helps student success in the United States. So last but not least, we really would just love if you decided to study at ACN, and we are a firm believer that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for you. And the reason we think that is because the network you create at ACN, if you're a Norwegian student that comes to ACN to start their bachelor's degree, if you're an American student that comes to Norway to study abroad, the connections and the network you're going to make is really once in a lifetime. Many of the Americans that come to Norway, I think they have they have such a fabulous, great introduction to Norway because they're on a college campus with Norwegian students that want to get to know them, that are excited to learn from them. And that can be a little bit difficult on a large college campus in Norway if you went to University of Oslo or BI, for example, because those students sometimes aren't too interested in international students. But for the Americans that come to ACN, it is not uncommon to be going to your Norwegian roommate's cabin for the weekend, or they're taking you to Copenhagen or doing various things. And then for the American students, you're getting firsthand information from the source about what it's like to study in the US. And when you go to the US, you might be studying with your fellow classmates in America, or you might be visiting them in their hometowns for spring break. So it really is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we would really encourage you to check it out if this is something that you've been thinking about. So now we are back to the program, and that was the first part of our session. And obviously we are not on track with time anymore, so we understand if some of you may have to leave, but we hope that you can stick around. And there is some disturbance that's coming, so it's hard to hear. Can everyone else hear that? Is it really echoey and... No?
I can hear it.
Okay. Let me mute myself. Krista, can you hear that background noise? Ayla, can you?
I hear a noise, but it's not that it's impossible to hear what's being said. I just hear like a little bit of a buzzing. It's not that disturbing, and I don't know.
Okay.
If it's really disturbing to you.
Okay. Well, let's try to go forward with the program. So, I apologize. It was really loud on my end, so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't too loud for everyone else. But what I would like to do now is to welcome Dr. Rebecca Lieber-Godberg to the program. She is an instructor for the semester at American College Norway. She's taught at American College Norway for other semesters as well, and a lot, as you can see. And I'm going to just let her introduce herself, what she's teaching, and why she thinks ACN is a great opportunity for both Norwegians and Americans. So here you go, Rebecca.
Hello, I am Rebecca. I'm Dr. Rebecca Lieber-Godberg. I actually am joining you from Boise, Idaho this morning. So you're all at the end of your day and I'm at the start of mine. I have been an instructor with ACN from one of the partner schools, the University of North Dakota. I have had the privilege of being involved with ACN for the last 10 years. What's really nice about the partner institutions is that when faculty come, every year it's a different rotation of faculty that comes, so you get a chance to make some really nice connections with university faculty in classes that are taught in English in an American university format. The classes are very interactive. Like Nick was saying, the classes are not very big, so you have a chance to work closely with your classmates. We do group work, we do field trips, we do all sorts of things. The university system in the United States is not a semester of learning and then just exams at the end, but it is a progression of assignments that go over the course of the semester that you work with and work together and maybe develop projects. This semester I'm teaching online, virtually, for ACN, and we are doing a class in social justice and the public humanities. You know, what's also nice is the classes a lot of times will cross over. So the class I'm teaching this semester will actually cross over with a class that Nick is teaching this semester. So we're really excited to be able to have that collaborative relationship and help you develop a network of classmates and faculty as you move forward. I think the experience at ACN for American students and Norwegian students is phenomenal in the fact that we develop a larger global understanding. But one of the other things that I think is very interesting and is so important is the opportunity to develop really good study skills that you will need for your success at an American university. And that's not just necessarily, like Krista was talking about, taking those classes in composition, but learning about studying and time management and what the expectations are at a university level in the United States, but doing it in a way that the classes are small and you have a lot of support. So this is something that I think has been really invaluable for all the students. But I think one of the biggest things that I, as a faculty member, have enjoyed is the ability to develop relationships with students and to help students develop the skills to develop relationships with their faculty when they go forward. In the United States, relationships between students and faculty really can play an important part in choosing your major, having success in your major, finding additional opportunities, value-added opportunities like internships and things like that, that really make a college experience in the United States much larger and more meaningful. I think I am very excited, and I've always been very excited to be a part of a system that is so non-traditional in a traditional way, that we're able to bring students from all over the world together with faculty from all over the United States and build something that really makes for a meaningful year and for relationships that really truly do last a lifetime.
Thank you, Rebecca. It is always great to have our instructors speak to the students because our instructors are very invested in this opportunity for the students. They know that for the Norwegian students, it is a great learning curve to really get the tools needed to be successful in the United States, because you're taking US lecture-based classes here in Norway and you're learning the system. And then for Americans, it's a very easy, I don't want to say easy per se, but it's a great way to study abroad and still be comfortable, and the classes are going to transfer back well. And then also you're going to know how it's running. You're going to be able to really help your fellow Norwegian students, because the Norwegian students, they really do ask you, is this what it's really like? And of course, classes will vary with the instruction, but the way they're structured is, very similar. So instructors will expect a lot from you. One second, I'm just admitting someone else into the room. Okay, so going further in the program, I wanted to now talk to you about what it's like on campus. So American College in Norway is a fun place. It is super unique. It is a one-of-a-kind program. So we are an American school here in Norway, and that means that there's so many opportunities for the students to be able to really have a fun, but also educational experience here in Norway. So my job at American College in Norway is to really make sure that the students that come to the college are having a really fun experience inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. Because let's be honest, you know that going to the US is going to be a very fun experience, and you want to go to the US because you want to join these clubs, these organizations, you want to travel around. So what we want to do at ACN is really make sure that you're set up for success when you go to the States, because we have on-campus clubs. So I will be in charge of organizing various organizations with you, like the activities committee, where it's a student group that they plan events once a month. That's the goal, at least one event a month. And then also we have a yearbook committee, and then we also have volunteering with local fundraising efforts. So there are so many ways to get involved at ACN's campus, and that's often the question that we get is, you're a small campus, you have maximum 70 students each year, is there anything to do? And I think it's actually quite the opposite, because we are so invested in making sure the Norwegians really have a great experience getting adjusted to what it's like to be in a club, what it's like to put on an event. And the American students, they want to help too, because they're used to this in the US. Being involved on college campus is such a part of the way of life of an American student. So it's really fun when these two come together. And one added benefit about getting involved on the college campus at ACN is that this will really help with your CV, as you call it in Norway, or your resume for Americans, because when you're able to put on your clubs on these documents and say that you were the head of the communications committee for the activities committee, that really helps you stand out. So we want to make sure that you're able to really stand out, in addition to having a fun time on the college campus. And going back to the pictures that you saw that Krista pointed out earlier, classes are Monday through Thursday. So aside from the global pandemic, when there isn't a pandemic happening at the school or in the world and whatnot, we are beyond active. We have events planned on Fridays, so there'll be trips to Oslo, there'll be trips to local art galleries, but there's also opportunity to travel for credit, so there are travel courses. And last but not least, it's a really great way for you just to make sure that you're really focused in the classes on Monday through Thursday, but then you have a 3-day weekend to get out and explore. And that's kind of where we come in and the Norwegian students come in, because for you Americans, we're able to offer a lot of great tips and information to you for really making sure you have an authentic experience. And it's really rewarding and fun to be able to share our tips with you. And then the Norwegian students can help you out too, and vice versa. When the Norwegian students go to the US, get ready, American students that come to ACN, because the Norwegians are going to be like, hey, can we go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras for spring break? Hey, let's go to Nashville, because let's go to like the CMA Fest. Like it's just a fun experience, and we know that that happens because of the opportunities at the ACN campus. So I have a few people waiting to get into the room. Just give me a second. Okay, so I wanted to sadly let you know that our current student, Caroline, unfortunately has had major technical difficulties with the program, and Krista has had this problem as well too. So we believe when you don't have a stable network at home or wherever you are, that's what's kicking you out of this program. So unfortunately, Caroline isn't here today to speak to you, but we do have 2 other students lined up. And if you ever want to chat with a current student, just send us a message, because we would love to send their email to you, and you could find a time to just maybe talk on the phone with them. Our students are very proud to come from ACN. They're very happy to answer any questions. And when we say they'll reach out to you and they'll talk to you about everything. They will. So if you want to talk with anyone later on after this program, just write to me. You have my email now and I'll connect you. So now I would like to welcome, I believe Kay is our next speaker. Yes, so we have Kay Lostland, who is from the United States, and she studied abroad at Acn last year, and we would love to just welcome her to the floor and get to know more about her experience as an American at American College Norway. Hi, Kay, are you there?
Hi, everyone. There's a slight lag across the ocean, so just let me know if you can't hear me and bear with me for this, but I'm so happy to be here. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, I have the biggest smile on my face. Like, just seeing everybody and talking about Norway again makes me so happy. I'm a current junior, so I'm in my 3rd year at Springfield College, and I studied abroad at ACN in the spring of 2020. So right as the pandemic was happening, I was there, which was a experience I will hold on to for the rest of my life. But yeah, it was such a good experience. I'm studying at Springfield Occupational Therapy, but for study abroad, you just take a bunch of like general education credits, and so ACN was the perfect place for that. I feel like Norway is such a hidden gem, and as much as I like to promote it, I also want to keep it like a secret so I can have it in my own life. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm so jealous that you're all there. I'm coming back one day and I'm going to come stay with all of you, and I'm going to come to your cabins. And I just love everything about Norway. So that's my spiel about Norway. But Nick, did you want me to talk about, like campus life or whatnot?
Yeah, so I mean, why don't you explain kind of the significance of our partnership? Because I think that's one thing that's really unique is that you're from Springfield College, and we have Norwegian students at Springfield College now, and we've had instructors from Springfield. So if you want to talk about the partnership and then maybe, why you came to ACN, because, we are such a small program and we're a niche program. So just speak about that and the campus life too, just kind of all those things.
Yeah,
Thank you.
For sure. Awesome. So Springfield, as Nick said, is the newest partner with ACN. And Springfield College is a really pretty small school in Massachusetts, so we're right on the East Coast of the United States. I grew up right outside of Springfield, and so going to college wasn't really a huge experience like a lot of college students have in the United States, where they get to leave and kind of have their own like time away. Like I live 15 minutes away from school, so I really wanted study abroad to be an opportunity to kind of get out and do something on my own. And I really didn't know where I wanted to go. So I was looking at a bunch of different places, and I kind of had a checklist, but I mainly wanted a country I could study throughout, like I could just stay there. I feel like a lot of students who study abroad make it their mission to travel everywhere and kind of have a checklist of places they want to go, but I really just wanted a country I could feel at home at and make a home at, and really embrace the culture and lifestyle of, and that ended up being Norway for me. So yeah, I was the first Springfield student to come to Norway, which was intimidating, but also really exciting, and felt like I was a part of a cool secret club. But as soon as, actually not even as soon as, literally months before, I had been emailing Nick. I had been talking to Krista and other students who had studied at ACN, and really felt like I was a part of it even before I landed. I mean, Nick wrote me an entire map of the airport of how to get through customs and how to get on the bus and which bus to take. And so I knew right away I was at home. And that was a really special and unique experience. And then in Moss, it's just the coolest place ever. I just really fell in love with Norway and the people at the school, and they kind of took me in right away. So I think that's really special. There only being a small student population and a small amount of international students, you really get to see Norway in a unique lens, and the Norwegians, like props to all of you, make it so easy to kind of embrace that lifestyle and that culture. I mean, I was being told to go to different places and what's the best spot, and even the best restaurants and cafes and the best experiences to do. And so I was really able to see Norway in a unique lens. And now that I'm back at school, 2 ACN students are actually at Springfield right now. And I just saw them in the dining hall the other day, and it was just so cool to like talk to them and hear about like how they're doing and whatnot, and just be a support to them as well. I mean, they were talking about like living through the pandemic in the United States away from home and how to get back to home or staying here, and just the complications of it all. And it was nice for me to be able to return the gestures that I received when I was in Norway and help them through it, and, you know, get them dinner or bring them to doctor's appointments if they need it, or just really offer any support, because that's exactly what they did for me when I was in Norway. So it's a really special, unique experience to go to a country, kind of create your home and create your community and family, and then also come back to your home and be able to create that for the students that did that for you. And so I'm sure wherever you all go after ACN, or when you decide to come to the United States, you've created that family at ACN that will carry with you through all your experiences. And even for me, like, I'm coming back to Norway, I'm doing it, I promise you all. And Nick will be the first person I call to see where I can stay. And I'll be at ACN, because it's experiences like this that I will carry with me, and just hold so close to me. And it's a family that really helped me through the hardest times of study abroad, because it's not easy. It's really tough to be somewhere else. And then also just be able to give that back to the students when they come here. So it's a really rewarding experience, and something you don't think you'll get through study abroad or international study, but you do because you're a part of the ACN family.
Thank you, Kay. Yes, you can call me, and I have an extra room here in my apartment, so you are welcome. I know you're still a college student and don't have any money.
I have no money left.
But I couldn't have said it better. I mean, Kay really came to Norway, and she was open-minded, but she was resourceful. And like Krista said, those are our students, both Norwegians and Americans. And we helped her along the way. And she did study at ACN during a pandemic. And she had to leave a little bit early, but she still is walking away from this experience so humble and thankful for it. So I know that she'll be back, and she is such a great advocate for study abroad and helping the students on the college campus. And we're super happy to hear that you've met them and hung out with them, because we've been vicariously waiting for maybe like some updates, but we know it's crazy out there and super busy. But that makes us so happy, because anyone that knows about like University of North Dakota, that's one of our first partners. We have a huge network there, but Springfield is a new partnership. So it's so great to hear that there's this already like ACN community starting there. So Kay, if you are available to wait with us a little bit longer so we can do the Q&A, so maybe some students can ask the questions, because we do have Americans that are in the chat with us that are thinking of studying abroad. So maybe they could ask you some questions, or at least get your contact information.
Yeah, of course. Hi, Americans in the chat. Love you.
So, okay, thank you very much, Kay. And if you don't follow our Instagram, it's American College in Norway, and we have a lot of great resources on there. And a few days ago, I reshared Kay's takeover video that she made last year, and it has nearly 1,000 views, Kay. It's our most popular video. But I would really recommend going to our Instagram, giving us a follow if you haven't followed us already, because that's where you'll see a lot of great information. And now I would like to introduce Atla Johansson, who is a Norwegian student who started his U.S. bachelor's degree at ACN, and then he went to ACN's partner school, University of North Dakota, and now he's back in Norway. He's working in the barcode of Oslo. He's doing great in his career. So Atla, do you want to briefly introduce yourself and talk about your experience at ACN and in the US and how it's helped you in your career?
Sure thing. Let me just say it's good to see your faces. I miss you guys. And Catherine, thanks for sharing a good introduction. I'm glad you've had a good experience with ACN as well. So a little bit of background. I'm Atla. I'm Ayla's husband, and I went to ACN from 2014 to 2015. And I've been invited to share a little bit about my experience at ACN and also my experience studying in the US. But before I get into that, I'd like to share a little bit about my story, which I think can help provide some context for our discussion, and hopefully maybe you can relate to it as well. So I graduated from high school in Drammen in 2013, and after graduating, I became really determined to study in the U.S. And I love the language, I love the people. I think I romanticized quite a bit about the U.S. It seemed like this magical place where I'd never been before, but I also saw a lot of value in getting an international education and just a different perspective. There were two problems with that. Number one, I did not have a good track record from high school. I was kind of demotivated through high school. I didn't have great results, and I thought this would hinder me in studying in the U.S. And number two, I had no idea how to even study in the U.S. I had no idea how to jump through the hoop. I tried to make some searches online in terms of the immigration process, in terms of applying, in terms of doing the SAT, the ACT, the TOEFL, the whatnot. It seemed expensive, and I felt I also just lacked a good overview to make a good decision. So for a little bit of time, I started to think, all right, maybe I just won't study in the US. And then ACN popped up. I think it was some Facebook ad or something. Maybe I found it on Google. I can't remember. But when I found ACN, I realized that I was not only able to start my American education in Norway, which I thought was really comfortable, but I also saw they would help me maneuver that complicated immigration process, fill out the applications, find a good partner school, and just give me a lot of comfort in making sure I had everything I needed in order to go to the US and to pick a good school. So my time at ACN, though, turned out to be a lot more than just ticking the boxes to go to the US. I went there from 2014 to 2015. And it's true, everything that Nick has been saying, that Chris has been saying, that Ayla's been saying, that Catherine has been saying. And, ACN is going to give you some of the best friendships of your life. It's a really tight-knit community. It's a really tight-knit campus, and you get to know all the professors, you get to know all the students, maybe sometimes a little too well, especially if you live on campus, but I highly recommend living on campus. And the student-teacher ratio is kind of unheard of in the 21st century. If you go to any big university in Norway or in the US, especially during those first years, you're going to sit in huge lecture bowls with 200 people. The professor's not going to learn your name. You're not going to get to know the professor. You're barely even going to get to know your peers. But that's where ACN comes in with a lot of value, because you're going to have a really valuable collaborative learning experience with that smaller student ratio. I have to say that my all-time favorite professor is at ACN, John Ross. Love you. And in the end, ACN is going to help you find your dream school, and whether that's a partner university or some other university, that doesn't matter. But I decided to go to one of the partner universities, the University of North Dakota. And the reason for that is because they offered the in-state tuition. So you basically get your tuition price cut in half by being an ACN student. You don't have to take the TOEFL test or the SAT or the ACT, assuming you've filled some criteria. And it just makes the process a whole lot easier. So I decided to go there. And at ACN, you get to know a lot of different people, and likelihood is that if you go to the partner schools, a lot of these students are going to go to the same school as you. So you travel over there with the community. So again, that safety, that comfort comes back, and you just feel like you have a good platform. You're not throwing yourself into something you have no idea what it's going to be like. So I went to UND, the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, and it's not like the Big Apple. It is in the countryside, but I could not have gone to a better place. You end up being a big fish in a small pond. North Dakotans, they love Norwegians, and so do Minnesotans, by the way, the whole upper Midwest region. Yeah, so I went there, and I was really happy with my experience. I initially went to study entrepreneurship, but I changed over to accounting, and went to the College of Business and Public Administration there, and went there for 3 years. And I was really happy with professors, very happy with the the curriculum, you're taking a degree, you're learning stuff, you're going to class. But I think what UND offered, and what probably a lot of other American universities offered too, is that extracurricular stuff. And to list a few, I got a chance to work at the Center for Innovation. So I got to work with startup companies. I got to work with the administration of the university. I got to ideate and do a part-time job like that. I was also part of the Association of Norwegian Students Abroad, which is an organization for Norwegian students all over the world, really, but they have some chapters in North Dakota and Minnesota and other states as well. I was part of something called the Dakota Venture Group, which is a student group at the University of North Dakota that has, at the time I was studying, they had $1.8 million to invest. And basically, it's students who are put in charge of this money. And we invite in companies who present their ideas, and we ask them questions, we do the due diligence, and then we eventually invest in the company. And of course, the money stays within the organization, but the universities get an amazing experience from that. And I think that was at least in 2015, it was the only student-run venture capital firm. So incredible hands-on experience. So that's really one of the things about the US that I really appreciated, was it's not just academics, it's not just theory, it's not just compliance and going there to get a degree and get a stamp so you can get a job, but it's actual real learning, and you get to meet some incredible people through it. And I think what was really cool too is meet a lot of supportive, encouraging people. And through that, Ayla and I were inspired to create a student-run organization called Volunteers Together that basically helped students find volunteering opportunities, and it grew to 300 members. So it's a really fun experience. And I think it's also worth touching on scholarships, because there are a lot of scholarship opportunities in the US. And through UND, I was eventually able to cover all of my tuition expenses through scholarships. So, it's like in Norway, you end up paying nothing for the education if you get enough scholarships. You just pay for the room and board. So that was really nice. Going to the US and studying doesn't have to be crazy expensive. It can actually be very reasonable. So studied accounting, did a lot of cool things, got a great experience, and graduated in 2018. And I got a job right out of college, which was easier than expected. I mean, you have career fairs at college, you get to meet the companies and start talking to people very early on, and likely it is that you get a job opportunity before you graduate. And so I got a job opportunity working as an IT consultant at Ernst & Young in Minneapolis. So I moved to the Minneapolis and worked there for about a year. And then I decided, it's time to move back to Norway, because that's where my heart is, with the fjords and the mountains. And Ayla is pretty excited to move to Norway as well. So in April last year, we finally made the move back to Oslo. We could have picked a better time, I'll admit. In the middle of the pandemic, didn't turn out great, but it is what it is. And now I work for PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers in Bjørvika, one of the big 4 accounting firms. And there I work as an IT risk consultant. I help major companies improve their IT processes. And I think the takeaway from that is, I went to the US, I got a bachelor's degree, I came back to Norway, and I got a job at a place where most people need master's degrees to get in. So I think that speaks to the value of getting an international education, getting an American education, and not only the education, but if you decide to work a few years over there too, that just looks incredible on your resume. So yeah, I think that summarizes everything. Almost my entire life story, but not quite.
Thank you so much. That is such a fabulous point to wrap it up, because often we hear from the Norwegian students and they ask, well, I want to go to a good school. And I mean, it's such a subjective question, because you see they're laughing right now, a lot of them, because for Norwegians, there's only, a handful of universities in the country, so you can name almost every single one. But like Ayla mentioned earlier, there's 5,000 plus US universities. And when we talk to the students and say, it's more about the opportunities you create for yourself than, maybe going to Harvard. Not saying if you want to go to Harvard, of course, we will help you try to figure that out. But you can go to a college like University of North Dakota and you can get a fabulous degree. You can have awesome opportunities, experiences, and then you can bring that back to Norway. And when you can put on your CV that you did these things, it's a lot more attainable at some places. And that's what I like to do at ACN, is help the students start these things early on, because that's half the experience. The reason you want to go abroad is, of course you want to take great classes, but you also want these experiences that, you can't buy. You need to have these experiences that really will enrich your opportunity as a student and a citizen of the world. So I would love to give a round of applause to Kay and Atla. I saw Krista gave a round of applause earlier, but thank you so much for speaking, because it really is the student perspective. Me, Krista, Ayla, we can sit here and talk to you all day about how fabulous ACN is, but we didn't prep them with anything. We didn't tell them what to say, and they are two authentic students that really just speak nothing but the best about ACN. And if you want to talk to them, we'll open the floor for some Q&A. But now you heard about this great program, and you probably want to figure out how you can start your degree at ACN. So I'm going to bring Krista back into this conversation so she can help you figure out, the application process for both Norwegians and Americans. So let me share my screen, because we have a slide with detailed information. And I hope everyone can see this now.
I can see it.
Perfect.
I can see it.
So this is a really easy process to apply to the American College of Norway, and I wanted to talk to the Norwegian students just briefly about it, and we'll do it in Norwegian, and you'll have to live with my trying to roll my R's, but we'll get to the international student one below, so pardon my Norwegian, but you have to have, as a Norwegian student applying to American College of Norway, generell studiekompetanse. You have to be done with videregående skole, or you have to be, you can apply when you're in your videregående years. You can, if your grades are recommended grade point average, which is anbefalt karaktergjennomsnitt, 4,0, or even just in that area, contact us. And then if you're in high school currently, then you can get something called a conditional acceptance, and we can tell you a little bit more about it. But we want you to be nearing or completed with generell studiekompetanse. You have to fill out the application form, and it's on our web pages. It's on every single page. It's super easy. You just hit apply now and fill out that form. Once you fill in that form, you're going to get an email back telling you what documents you need. And one of them is et essay på engelsk som besvarer spørsmålet, why am I interested in this educational opportunity? And it doesn't have to be long, but we want you to think about why you want to go to the American College of Norway, which is leading you to 3 more years in the United States, or even possibly more if you want to go to a master's or a PhD. We want you to have thought about it. It's a large commitment, but it's a fun commitment. It's an amazing commitment. So it can be a page, it can be page and a half, it can be 2 pages. It doesn't have to be a book, but let us know a little bit more about you. When we're looking through the applications, we don't just look at grades for you coming in, we look at you as a whole person. We want to make sure that you're reflected on the opportunity, and that that you would be a great fit for the American College of Norway. We do accept 70 students each year, but it's got to be a whole package, and it's the same as when you apply to the United States to universities. They're going to look at all the things that you have done in your free time. If you're at the American College of Norway, if you were active in committees, that's going to add to your application and the reasons that they want you to their university. What are you going to bring to their university? That's what they want to know from you. So we can get back to that later. If anyone has any questions, just go ahead and ask. For international students, you have to have a high school diploma. You have to be finished with high school. You have to, if you're enrolled at a university already, you have to be in academic standing. You also have to fill out the online application. So you just go into our website. Again, it'll up in the right top corner, it says English, and you click on that and you can fill out the application, which is in English. And then you get an email back about why you're interested, to make an essay about why you're interested and what other documents we might need. If you're from one of our partner universities and you've tuned in today, you should contact the international office. If you don't know how to do that, we can let you know. I also wanted to add one thing that's not here. If you want visa information on how to get over to Norway and what the current issues are, just contact me and we'll give you the email address at the end. But it's nice to know that you can get some visa help, at least in updating in the pandemic. And we have every expectation of being able to welcome all students for summer and fall, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we do have a deadline for some applications, both for Norwegians and Americans. And one is first of all, is our summer session. And our summer session will start in July. And if you're interested in it, let us know and we can send you information about that. But we have a deadline of April 1st for summer session. For a fall session, we have rolling admission, is what we call it. But we have something called preferred application deadline of May 1st. And if you get everything in before May 1st, it can be now and it can be tomorrow. But if you give us all the documents, you will get an answer back within about 14 days. Our admissions committee meets often. And so you'll get to know really quickly, but we will need all the documents that we require before we can make a full acceptance, but it goes quickly once you get them in. If you're interested in our spring semester, the deadline is October 15th. If you're interested in fall and spring, that's just the one application, and we hope that we can get your application into us by May 1st. So it's not tough to apply. You just have to go in, click that apply now. You'll get some information about what the next steps are. If you're confused about something or have questions, you can send us an email or contact us, and the next screen is going to tell you how to contact us. But feel free to let us know. We'd love to be able to help you along the way. You can see that the info@americancollege.no is our general email, and the person who takes in those emails will send it to the proper person. So you'll be sent on to someone who will be able to answer your questions. Nick, you might want to talk a little bit about our social media outlets, but other than that, I was sticking around if people want questions. I want to ask questions, but I'm so glad that you joined us today. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Krista. So as she said, the application process is very simple. It is not part of the Norwegian system, so it is pretty easy to do, and we're there to help you along the way. So if at any point you have any questions, utilize this email, info@americancollege.no, because it will be passed along to the correct person at the college to answer it. And then last but not least, like I said earlier, a great way to really find out more information about ACN is our social media. You can follow our Instagram. I think that's one of our most active channels with a lot of great content, such as takeover videos in the IGTV section. We often ask questions, like I asked tonight what students were curious about, and we're going to visit some of those questions next. But just give us a follow on some of these social media accounts, and we'd love for you to just be in the know of what's going on at ACN, because we will post a lot of these deadlines, all these things, what's happening on these pages. So give it a like, give it a follow, and subscribe. So we are just so thrilled. I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. But yeah, we're so thrilled that many of you took time out of your day to join this. Like I said, we would have loved to have you on the college campus. There would be a college tour, everything like that. But everyone knows what's going on in the world, and I applaud everyone in this room for participating in this, and also for our past students for taking time to just explain their experience. And with that being said, I wanted to dive into a Q&A session. Now, I know that Norwegians can be a little apprehensive or shy in the beginning, and us Americans are very, we're ready to go for it. But I had 2 specific questions that were sent to me on Instagram, and I wanted to throw these questions out first. And then if you in the chat, if you want to get the ball rolling, you can raise your hand and just speak freely to whoever you want to speak to. I would love if you would just ask away anything that you're thinking, curious about. We'd love to help you, because this is really the time now where it's all about you. So I did have a question that was sent to me, and Krista, I'm going to throw it to you, and it was, will ACN help me in the visa process? Now, this was, I believe, from an American student that would be studying abroad. So if you could speak to that, and then maybe Kay, you could give your input on how the process was for yourself.
Yeah, I'll start, Kay, if it's okay. And what I just want to point out is that the visa process runs quite smoothly. You have to go into the correct site and follow the directions, but it's very legalese. It's very important sounding, and you have to jump through their hoops. But there are a couple of questions that I can help you with. They'll ask for the American College of Norway organization number, that kind of thing. But it helps by going right into that site. So if anyone is interested, I can send you that site. You can go in and start the application and jump out and back in. Then you actually have to make a visit to one of the visa sites when you're eventually going to be able to have an interview and bring your passport and get some stamps. But again, make sure that you, it's an easy process, but make sure you give yourself plenty of time, because you have to do A before B, before C, before D. And Kay, how did you find the process?
Yeah, so I think you hit the nail on the head when you said to give yourself time, because that's pretty much the biggest component to it. Just making sure that you're organized and you're on top of it, and you're not collecting all the information you need right before your appointment. I think if you're pretty diligent and organized about it, it can go really smoothly. I was way more stressed about it than I needed to be, which is common in my life. But I had to go into New York City. Yeah, right. I took the train into New York City with my dad from Massachusetts. It was actually a fun trip. We made a day out of it. And again, I was like really intimidated going into the center to get the visa, but they were so nice in there. And as long as you're just like truthful about your life and who you are, and you have everything you need, it was really a simple process, and definitely one of those things that seems stressful, but is so worth it. Like, you're not gonna not go to Norway because you are scared to get your visa, just one of the things you have to do. And there are people to help you along the way, and clear information. It can seem like an overload of information, but I mean, more information is better than less, and you just have everything you need in a folder, and you go and drop it off. So I think they try to make it intimidating, like they do with a lot of things in the US, but again, like, you just follow the directions, you follow the rules, and it'll be worth it, obviously. So yeah.
Yeah, and we'll help you with it along the way. For Norwegian students, the visa process is even more arduous, I would say, but also, again, you just follow the rules. Ayla is going to help you with all of that. I can answer questions with you for that too, and you don't need to think about it until if you're planning to go over into the United States at the end of the following year. We talk about it. We have seminars on it in the spring semester. So again, it's just A before B before C before D. So there are ways to do it easily, and we'll help you with that. So
I also totally forgot we had to get it in Sheehan. Is that what it's Sheehan? We had to go take the train, and Krista was actually there helping us. Like, Krista, you were there with Professor Higgins, and the worst part about it was the numbers, because they said the numbers in Norwegian, but And then I learned the numbers 1 to 10 in Norwegian. So it was actually a really easy experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kay, you're referring to once you get to Norway, and you have to go to the police station or the closest police station to finalize the visa process. And when you're sitting there and waiting, and then they're calling the numbers, but they're calling them in Norwegian, it's kind of a challenge, but it's actually pretty fun. And I was lucky enough to be there when you were there, but I'm also happy to help students. And we have instructions on how to get to the different sites. But yeah, that's part of the experience of being abroad, right?
Yeah, like Krista said, we have tons of instructions for all these things. So like Kay mentioned earlier, we have instructions on how to get from the airport down to Moss, instructions on how to get to your visa appointment. We make instructions all the time based on what you need. So we really want to make sure that the study abroad experience for the for the American students coming to Norway is as easy as possible. Because something that we didn't mention earlier is we've all studied abroad before. So I've studied abroad before, Chris has studied abroad before, Ayla studied abroad before. We all know what it's like to study abroad and live in a different country. So I think that's one thing that ACN specializes in, is knowing the students and what they need. So we often are like, okay, the new students are arriving. Krista wants to welcome them with some Norwegian treats to her office. Just these small things for us that are fun. I think they are really important and meaningful to the American students. Right, Kay? So does anyone have any questions besides some of the other pre-sent in questions? Because I would love if anyone wanted to just shoot some questions away at either Ayla, myself, Krista, Atla, Kay. You can feel free to just unmute right now and just say who you are and where you're from and what question you have.
And I will jump on that opportunity, if I may.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Samuel. I'm a Norwegian high school student in my senior year now. And I was just wondering, just when living in the dorms, like what do Norwegian students have to bring? Because I saw that American students barely have to bring anything, which makes a lot of sense because, you know, you have to fly across the ocean. But like, what do we have to bring?
That's a great question. I would love to pass this over to Atla because you were a student that studied in the dorms, and I think you could give more of an authentic experience and answer it properly because I have the answers, but it'd be better from your perspective of what it was like for you to be a Norwegian student living in the dorms.
Well, I actually did not live in the dorms. We rented an apartment. So there you have it. And in fact, I don't know any of the Norwegian students at UND who went to the dorms. But yeah.
So Samuel, I didn't quite catch the beginning of what you were saying. So you're wondering about what you bring when you go to the United States to the dorms, or what you need to have when you come to the dorms at ACN?
Both, really, because yeah, like what do you need when you go to the United States, and also what do you need when you go to Moss and to the dorms there?
Yeah. Okay. Well, those are easy questions. If you are coming from Norway, we ask that you bring what you'd like to have in the kitchen. We ask you to bring your own bedding, but we have a Dina, Norwegian, we have a comforter for you, a duvet. We have the bed, we have a desk, we have a chair, we have a lamp in your room, you have a closet. So whatever you want to fill up there, you'd have to bring. In the kitchen, they're just cabinets and refrigerator, the stove, the basics. So you'd have to bring what you'd like in the cupboards there. But then for American students, we have a room of treasures, I like to call it. I call it Tiffany's because you can go down there and we're not expecting you to bring plates and pots and pans and that kind of stuff. So we have amassed through the years things that students have donated to us, or we've provided for students, and you can go and you can pick out what you like, and to have what we often do is, and try to do, is put you in touch with the roommate that you'd be living with. So if a Norwegian student would like to live with an American student, you'd be in touch beforehand, and then the Norwegian student could say, oh, I have a frying pan, or just general things. So for Americans coming over, we also have all the bedding available to you. You don't have to bring any of your bedding unless it's something you want, but we do ask you to bring your own towels. We don't feel comfortable sharing towels from past students, really. So we said bring your own towels, and you can kind of pick out some things that you'd like from our Tiffany's area in the dorms, and so we'll get you taken care of. You get your basic needs taken care of. Okay, maybe you want to mention if you thought that worked out okay for you. Yeah, again, if for Norwegian, bring your bedding. We don't have a comforter for the Norwegians, but we have everything in full bedding for American students. Don't worry, we send out all that information. They're listed very carefully on what you need to bring or what you don't need to bring. That's the fun part of coming here, figuring out what you're going to do with your person. For going to the United States, your university will also give you information. They realize that as an international student, you're not going to bring your own desk or bed or that kind of thing. That's also part of getting to the United States. And sometimes you can get on a website where students have said, hey, I'm selling this. Would you like to buy it? Or Norwegians that have been to the university there before will be selling their things as they graduate. But also you get to go to fun, giant stores, like, for example, Target, and pick out things that are at prices that Norwegians can faint from, because they're amazing. So for Atla living in an apartment, he had to make some decisions about what he was going to purchase, and then you also have to get rid of them by the time you leave. So all will be revealed. It works out fine. There's always some student that wants to sell something, and there's always stores that are there available to you to buy things at a reasonable price. So.
Yeah, sorry if I misunderstood the question there, but yeah, just going off of that, I brought 2 suitcases to ACN, and I brought 2 suitcases to UND, and I think that summarizes it well.
Yep. Good.
And like Krista said, I mean, going to the US, you're going to get clear information on what you need to bring, which usually is what Atla did, right? His suitcases, because the stuff's provided, but you will get clear information. I think us as Americans, we're very, very good at giving detailed information. I think we like to be very prepared for the unknown. And I think Kay is a true testament of a true American with that. But do we have any other questions? I see there's a question in the chat. Krista, would you mind maybe taking that if you have time to maybe respond to them? Do we have any questions from anyone?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, regarding the dorms, I was wondering if they're like first come, first served, or how that works out, because I saw that you only had like 36 dorms compared to, say, 70 students. Or do they fill out?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and it's kind of based on when you apply. So that's why with the priority deadline of May 1st, if you're planning to live on campus, we always recommend that you apply ASAP, because the quicker you apply, the quicker you get accepted. That's when you have the better chance of getting the room that you would like. So we always recommend to apply as soon as you can. And you'll get, when you fill out the application, it asks you if you're gonna be interested in living on campus.
I've already applied for housing. I was just wondering.
Perfect. So yeah, I mean, I would say that you're probably in good standing then if you already applied for the program and you've asked for housing, because it's based off of that priority application deadline. We like to always give that opportunity for the students that applied earlier. So priority application, that's why we kind of hit the nail on the head, like Kay said, about, that's like an American phrase. We just like making sure we meet deadlines and application deadlines so we can really offer you what you're hoping for.
Awesome, thank you. And also, closest grocery store, how far away from the campus is that? Like, I've been to Moss, but I'm not knowing around the area.
The closest, what? I didn't hear the first part of the question.
Grocery store to get groceries.
Oh, it is very close to the campus. I would say that walking to the closest grocery store would be maybe 10 minutes. But Kay, do you maybe want to answer that? Because of course you were doing this daily or every other day.
Yeah, the grocery store walk was probably like 7 to 10 minutes. And it was actually like probably one of my favorite parts of the day. Like I would just put in my headphones and go walk. It's a beautiful walk. Moss is a great town. I mean, you said you've been there, but yeah, that was a really cool experience for me to go to the grocery store, and that was where I learned a lot of Norwegian and had to kind of go into survival mode about Norwegian. But it's really accessible, and it's right in a mall. So back to housing stuff, I know some of my friends wanted like twinkly lights for their room, and we would go to the mall and, you know, get stuff to decorate our room, or get really whatever we need, go shopping. There's a thrift store, great museums, cafes. Cafe Reese is my favorite place ever. I would go and live in there if I could. So yeah, the town of Moss is super cool. Great opportunities for kind of every part of the day. I'd start my day with a coffee there and end it and with a glass of wine at Cafe Reese is great. So yeah, the grocery store is really easy and accessible. There's a couple different options. Coop, I know you guys use that one, and I'm gonna make fun of myself. I'm gonna say Remy 1000. Like, I know it's not Remy 1000, but that one's there as well. And then also just like little places to eat too. So if you don't want to cook for yourself, you can just get food, pick it up. So yeah.
Thanks, Kay. Yeah, I mean, I would say that whether you're Norwegian or American, you don't need a car to be an ACN student because you can easily walk to whatever you need. To walk to the train station is about a 15-minute walk if you're my speed. I walk very quick. For the average person, maybe 20 minutes, but everything's accessible. There's a bus stop there. There's a train station. You don't need a car. Some Norwegians bring their car because they like to maybe go home on the weekend and whatnot, but that's not many of the students. Most students come to campus without a car, and you walk to the campus in a 3-minute walk from your dorm. If you just keep walking past the school, then you're crossing a bridge that will take you over to the downtown area where that's the mall area where Kay pointed out. So super, super accessible. You don't need to worry about having a car and all that. So although Moss is a small town, it's like 30,000 people. It is like the location of the college is very central. So it's not like you're in the middle of nowhere and it's like a 30-minute walk to a grocery store. No, not at all. Any other questions? Any questions about it?
I'm not too worried if there aren't questions, because we're always here to answer questions. We're just not in their face on this computer screen. But just write to info@americancollege.no or to any of us individually, and we'll field your questions. So, I mean, this is a lot to digest. So, if later on you're thinking about it and you're like, "Oh, I should have asked that," go ahead and ask it. info@americancollege.no.
And there was just one last question that was sent to me earlier, and it was about the college campus and it being, is it a diverse place, and how is it for LGBTQIA plus students? I would say that ACN in itself is such an inclusive and diverse place. We really are open-minded, like Krista said. Our staff is comprised of people from different backgrounds, different sexual orientation backgrounds. The students are from all walks of life. We celebrate, all these days on college campus. So in June, we have Pride Month. So we, of course, change our banner to the rainbow flag. We celebrate Black History Month. The college is very diverse. We're very small in numbers, but I would say there's students from all different walks of life. So that's part of the fun about ACN is diversity comes in so many forms, and when you're part of these groups or you're in class, you're having open conversation with students from all over the world, and you might both be of the same nationality, but you might come from different upbringings. So that's diversity in itself too. So I don't know, Atla, Kay, do you want to speak to like diversity and inclusion efforts and how ACN works with just being an inclusive, welcoming place for people from all different backgrounds?
Yeah. Oh, do you want to start?
Go ahead.
You want me to? Okay. I said in the chat snaps, and then I realized people probably don't know what I mean, but at Springfield or in America, I guess you would be like snaps if you like agree with someone. So I was like, yes, Nick, I agree with you. Yeah, I think it is a very diverse and inclusive place. And that even goes back to the curriculum and the classes that you're taking. I took a comparative politics class with John Ross, who is amazing, just like one of the best. It's probably my favorite college class, period, that I've ever taken. Springfield or in Norway, like it was amazing. And that just opened my mind up just in general to the way different countries work, the way that different policies and politics work, and how people participate in their politics in different countries. So that was one of the classes. I took a healthcare ethics class. There was a global health class. And so that as a future therapist, you're learning, you know, how health policies work in different countries and ethics behind different religions and diverse communities and populations and how to handle all those situations. And those are really valuable classes. So I think the community itself, student life, campus life, yes, is a diverse community, but that's also being backed up by the curriculum and the courses that are being offered. And so you're having those tough conversations, you're sharing your opinions, you're debating other people from different walks of life. And in the process of all that, it's not a defensive and it's not a me versus you, it's a learning experience. And that's where the family aspect comes in. I mean, we're all just learning from each other and growing through our own experiences and sharing those experiences. And the Norwegian students had a much different idea of life and culture than the American students or other international students. And that was so cool to learn from each other. And so I think the diverse and inclusive community kind of just backs up those values and makes the whole experience really special and something to learn from.
Yeah, I second all of that. And just to add too, since ACN is so small, you don't have these small friend clusters that happen. It's just one big group of friends. And you have so many different people in that group of friends, and you get to know each other, you get to hang out, and yeah, so I think you covered it great.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better. And one thing that we pride ourselves on ACN is that we are there for the students. As staff, we have an open door policy where if you want to talk about whatever it is, and we're free, we're there for you. So with that question being said, yes, ACN is super inclusive, and we welcome students from all walks of life and want to make sure that you thrive and succeed because we know how important this opportunity is for you. So if there are no other questions, I guess we will wrap up the digital open house. However, if you would like to stay behind because you maybe wanted to chat with someone, feel free to stay behind. We're not going to close this immediately, but if you don't have any questions, you can exit. And really, thank you for taking time out of your day to be part of this conversation. I'm super happy that you joined, and I'm so glad that we had some fabulous former ACNers. That's what we call our students, ACNers. So if you join our program, you'll be an ACNer, and once you're an ACNer, you're an ACNer for life. So thank you so much, and send us some emails or join us on Instagram or wherever. We're here for you. Our slogan is, it's all about you, and honestly, it is all about you. Go, Krista.
Nick, I just wanted to mention that you have set up this wonderful site for us, but you also have arranged that it's to have it open for people, not the chat part of it, but you have created a little website within this open house site, and it's going to be open until tomorrow, so people can go in and there's questions that have been asked. There's some little video snippets. So I wanted to make sure that students could know that they can log in again and peruse our pages.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. I forgot. There's just so many good things about ACN to say, and I forgot, one of the details. The site is going to be available, and I'm pretty sure the company that we worked with to put this on said that it would be available until Sundays, like Sunday evening. So you will have a solid 2 days to access this, because we've embedded and put in tons of information in English and Norwegian to just answer various questions. And there's links to videos and everything. So please access that. Use the same login that you provided when you made your profile. And yeah, thank you so much. And as we say in Norwegian, ha det bra og ha en veldig fin helg.